2-on-2. Ready, break.
Hello and welcome back to Two in the Huddle. My name is David, and this gentleman across from me with the large handlebar mustache is my very good friend Shadi.
Hello.
Shadi, how are you? Where have you been? Tell the people where you are again.
Yeah, where haven't I been? No, I've been to a stag do this weekend with my very good friend Mark. Shout out to you, Mark, if you're listening. It was amazing, but you can imagine it was a stag do, a German stag do in Poland, so you can imagine how it was. Yeah, and I'm now in my parents' house in my old bedroom with a virtual background.
No, I feel you. And today is an exciting episode. We have our first special guest on Two in the Huddle. So we will introduce our friend Lorenz. Give the people a wave, Lorenz. Let them know you're here. Perfect. Appreciate you. So, fun fact, Shadi actually introduced me to Lorenz. They are German cohorts. I actually don't remember how they met, so you can tell the people that in a sec. But funnily enough, me and Lorenz went to the same university in America, which is actually no longer an existing public education institution, called Concordia College. Go Clippers. 10 years apart, so I'm a little bit older. I know I don't look it, but I'm a little bit older than Lorenz is. But we wanted to bring him on because he is our fantasy specialist, our fantasy guru, and he's a little bit obsessed with fantasy football in general. Yeah, maybe more than a little bit. So throughout the season, we're going to have regular kind of drop-ins on all things fantasy, the scoring, the points, the players you need to be watching out for, maybe some trades you need to make on your fantasy team. And Lorenz is going to be our man of action in that specific situation. So we wanted to bring him on today to introduce him and kind of talk through the setup for fantasy, especially going into the summer where there's not too much moving. So things that could be interesting to keep an eye on. So I've talked a lot. Lorenz, you want to introduce yourself? Tell the people where you are and where you're from as well.
I'm in Barcelona right now, from Berlin, like our good friend Shadi. First, shout out of the pronunciation. Not many people can pronounce my name that well. I mean, I guess it must be the international experience. And yeah, let's get going. I'm excited to be here. Obviously a long follower of the podcast, so now happy to contribute to it.
Cool.
And Dave, you asked where we met.
Yes.
Funny enough, it was also a stag do. So,
okay. Oh yes.
It was a stag do of a mutual friend.
Okay.
And yeah, Lorenz learned that I live in Barcelona, and yeah, now he moved to Barcelona as well.
Fab. I didn't know you had this many friends, to be honest. I feel like you just get invited to stag do's because you're a good man at a party. Like
That's
you
my
have
thing.
a Craigslist offer. If you need a good German drinker for a stag do, then holler at me. That's not bad.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that career, yeah, for sure.
That's a good life, dude. But cool. Let's jump straight into it. So again, Lorenz, really happy to have you here. And Shadi as well. Nice that you were able to make it today. But let's start nice and big at the broad, right at the start. How did you get into NFL in the first place, Lorenz? What attracted you to the sport to start with? And I see you got jerseys on and jerseys behind you, so I'm guessing you're kind of into it as well. So how did that come about?
Ironically, same setting as a stag do. Back in high school, like 2016, I just had a friend who loved NFL, and we just used to go to his house every Sunday before school started and just watched Red Zone and got drunk, honestly. And we just started for a laugh.
Yeah.
Do you remember the NFL ad with Cam Newton as just a scoring machine, by any chance?
I think so.
It was 2016. Right after his MVP season, and that ad played like literally every break, and that way, 2016, you might think of it, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
They excited me with Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Kyle Shanahan as an offensive coordinator, and shout out Mohamed Sanu, by the way. If any of you remember him, wide receiver, but he played high school. He played quarterback in college, so they slaughtered him at quarterback at times. I remember like there was a play where they did like a flea flicker, and then Sanu, the wide receivers, threw like a 50-yard touchdown pass.
Oh no way!
Which was insane. So yeah, that's how it started, and then actually I went to America, as you mentioned, and in America, ironically, it flattened a little bit.
Okay.
And then in America, as I got into fantasy and got back to Germany, and we just got back to watching NFL, a friend from America got me into fantasy football. First, I didn't know what to do with it. Like maybe like our friend Shadi right now. And then eventually when we just started watching with my friend again and for a laugh, and I watched on my phone, I remembered I still have this fantasy team, and then I watched on my phone and I realized that while watching, the points come in live, he just scored a touchdown, now I have 7 points more. I'm actually winning, this is exciting. And that's kind of how the wave started.
The wave moved. That's cool. I mean, you're a competitive guy and there's something nice and gamified about fantasy football in general, so it adds another element to it. It's a good way to hook people in. And fun fact about Mohamed Sanu, we did a short about Santana Moss being the arguably the best route runner of all time, and Mohamed Sanu liked that post. So we are interconnected in that way. Fun fact. We also had likes from Frank Gore. Who else liked it? Arian Foster. Just a little shout out there.
Dave is a very humble person, as we can tell.
I told everybody.
He'll love me talking about him then. Nice to you. Hope you're hearing this, Mo. See you soon.
He's obviously an avid follower. I hope he doesn't mind us saying his name loads of times. Don't sue us, please. But it's cool. The fantasy side of things. So apart from kind of being the gamified side of things, what about fantasy and maybe the setup? I know you like a lot of the community stuff that comes with fantasy as well. So talk about how you kind of found your people when it comes to like European fantasy specifically.
I mean, first of all, it's just the best, honestly. Like, there's no other way to describe it. I've played a lot of Football Manager when I was a kid, you know? Like, my favorite game ever. Many of you might know the game. You just build up your club. You build up your club. FIFA same way. Career mode was almost my favorite mode. Ultimate Team, actually, fantasy is like a bit like that too. And then as I got into American football, Madden 17 I think was the first game. And then I also like to put a cheeky bet here or there, you know, just to check if I'm right. Like, just let's see, just to see if I'm right. Like, Seahawks playing Rams, it should be a pass-heavy game script, so JSN should go over 65 yards easy, you know. And fantasy combines all of that, you know, like. You have your team that you manage all the way throughout the season, or if you play Dynasty even forever, literally like playing a real life career mode. You call your shot on players. So, and when you're right, you get to talk trash to your friends. So I kind of, as I got more and more into it, because as you can see, I'm quite an invested guy when it comes to that. I just started to hook all my friends step by step, and used it at the same time as a way of just staying connected. Like half of the people I'm playing with are my friends back home from Berlin, who I used to start watching football with in that basement of my friend where we just got drunk before school on Sundays. And then as I went to America, like I have a couple friends from Great Britain who I got into the league, and now as we're here in Barcelona, I got Shadi, and we're really hoping that a spot will be opening up for you soon as well, Dave. So with the whole management and calling your shot and just talking trash to your friends thing, it also is just a great way of staying connected, especially when you've been around the world, and that's just always an occasion to talk to your friends, even if it's just talking trash and talking ball, which is honestly, what more would you want to talk about to your friends?
Yeah. Did you ever have a player that you drafted very low?
Very low, like a sleeper.
Yeah, so you drafted him very low, and he overperformed, and you know this feeling must be amazing, where you just tell everyone, I knew it, this guy would become really good, you know?
Last year, I have two stories like that. Last year it was Troy Franklin. I didn't even draft him. Like 2 weeks before, of course, I'm in some fantasy Facebook groups. Shout out Dynasty Nerds, for example. And I read an article that Troy Franklin in training camp, he performed well, and he did so. And nobody really knew about him because he did nothing his rookie year. So like 2 weeks before the season started, he was just sitting there on our free agent market. And I just picked him up just in case. And as you might recall, like the first, until like week 8-9, he had a couple boom games. He had a game with like there was one game where he actually was the best wide receiver of the week, like week 7 or 8 or something. He scored like 24 points. But at the same time, then I cashed out, because fantasy is also a bit like day trading. Like you buy a player when you buy a player low when he didn't do anything yet, and then after a couple of good games, all of a sudden his value is higher. So after that big game where he scored 2 touchdowns, I instantly sent a trade offer to one of my friends for that gentleman behind me, Jalen Waddle. I had to sweeten the deal with a 2nd round pick, but that way, Troy Franklin, I hold him dear in my heart. He was my sleeper shot, and he actually got me to get Jalen Waddle, and now Jalen Waddle is actually a Bronco, burying Troy Franklin on the depth chart. So yeah, that was definitely sell high. Second example, I'll try to make this quick. Malik Willis was just sitting there on waivers towards the end of the season as well, because he was the backup quarterback for the Packers. Free agency was approaching, so I picked him up knowing he will sign somewhere, ironically also with the Dolphins. And then as soon as he signed with the Dolphins, I just flipped him for a 1st round pick next year. So these are these aspects. If you're being quick, if you're doing your homework, if you're being a bit smart with it, it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. Let's put it that way.
You sound like a proper GM.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly. That's exactly. That's. I've played Football Manager, right? That's exactly one of the beauties of fantasy. One of the many beauties of fantasy.
That's cool. And talk to the people about the league you play. So I know from, again, being, I would say, like an amateur fantasy player, right? Like I've had a couple of leagues in the past. I know that me and Shadi and another friend do kind of more of an over and under on underdogs per year. It's not really fantasy though. I had sleeper accounts and stuff like that. But there's different types of leagues, right? You mentioned Dynasty already. I think there's ones where you pick a new team every week, or you have a draft every year. What league do you play in, and how do the leagues work, and how do they differ?
I do play in a Dynasty League, which where the 2 examples were from. Dynasty is where you pick your team at the start one time in a massive draft, and you always keep your team. So you literally, as you mentioned, it's literally like playing career mode. It's literally like playing like an NFL GM. You have to manage your team over the years. When you realize this might not be my year, well, then you try to offload and try to go for a high pick. Other way around, last year I thought it would be my year. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. I lost in the semifinals. So I had Omarion Hampton. Obviously, great talent, and you'd think, great, I have Hampton. I will have a good running back for the next 7-8 years to come. But he was injured. He wasn't getting me points, so I traded him and some on top, because the other manager. It was 3 days and 3 nights of negotiations. So it can get intense. It can get intense if you have another hard-headed like myself. I traded Omarion Hampton for Jonathan Taylor. What JT did last year, I don't think I need to talk too much about it. So I offload a young player for a proven star who's performing right now in the effort of winning, of taking advantage of my win now window.
Yeah.
Didn't work, but was still a great experience. And that is Dynasty, right?
Okay.
And then you have redraft, as the name says. You draft a new team every year.
Okay.
That's playing fantasy in 1 year windows. You pick your team for the season, and then next year you pick a completely new team. You don't keep any players. So that is more of a week to week strategy thing than long term thinking. Also, a great way to capitalize on hype. By the way, like the Troy Franklin example. Yeah. I did the same thing last year with Rome Odunze. So if there are any day traders out there, the fantasy will also be for you. And then there's the third one, the one where my dear friend Shadi is gonna join, which is Keeper, which is the hybrid of both. Because in the mode we're playing, you only keep part of your team, so you have to balance both. And I would say Dynasty and Keeper is a bit more for the hard hits. While the redraft when you pick your team new every year, it's more fresh, it's more concentrated just on the season. So like in September I'll read a couple articles before the draft, and then I try to get myself ready, and then I'll have a laugh for the season, and then I don't have to worry about for the rest of the year. While Dynasty and the Keeper one is more of all year round thing. You have to really watch the draft, you have to watch what they do in free agency, you have to watch what they do in training camps. So the different formats are contemplated for different levels of NFL fanatism, for sure.
No. It's a full-time job, dude. I see all those funny videos online of people who are selecting their draft order. Like it's a lads, they're in a group and they're selecting who's going to go first, who's going to pick second, and they do these crazy challenges. Or one of them was just basically they had to run 40 yards on the beach.
Yeah, the draft combine basically. Right?
Yes, yes. 7 out of 8 of them didn't make 40 yards and they cramped up, pulled hamstrings and didn't make it to the end of the 40-yard dash. How do you pick in your league, the Dynasty? Who goes first? How does it work out?
Honestly, that would be the dream. It would be the dream to get all of them together, but as we all know, you know how hard it is to get all the people together. So, I actually quickly we live in the era of AI. I quickly thanks with Claude, I programmed the draft lottery program with Python. Okay. So interactive, where the program draws each slot step by step. And then I invited all the boys to a meeting where we could watch the lottery together, and obviously for first time talking trash. And it's actually quite exciting because everybody has like the kind of their favorite spot they would like to draw. You don't spoiler, you don't want to be in the middle because it's neither here or there. You either want to be at the start or at the end. So I'm trying to make it an interactive experience because it's always just fun when you get all the boys together, watching ball, talking ball. No. Which is exactly why we're here. Look at you two guys.
It was really impressive. It was very cool what you created there. And I was very happy with my with where I landed, let's say.
Where'd you land, Chef?
Because we're doing these, what do you call them, snake draft? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, snake.
Which means that if you, let's say you're on the last position in the draft, in our case 12, because we're 12 people, then you start the next round as the first, to keep it fair.
Yes. Yeah, I got you.
So if you land on 12, then you have 2 picks in a row, and I landed on 12, which is a can be a good position, let's say. You can make things difficult for people.
Yeah, he can set the tone because you have 2 players back to back. So when he picks 2 players on the same position, quarterback, running back, whatever, he can create a scarcity.
Yes,
he can make other people nervous. Yeah. So it's a great position if you like to be a dick, which I have a feeling Shadi likes to do.
I mean, it's fun when it's between friends. And because you play Dynasty, do you get people tanking? Like they start the season, they realize they're going to be shit. Does it have any impact on their next year's draft?
You do, actually. You do. The thing is, because we just started our Dynasty League last year, so when everybody, at the start, everybody, of course, still thinks they can win. But over the years, when people start to realize it, for example, the Jonathan Taylor manager, I don't even know how he managed it to be last in the standings with Jonathan Taylor, but he had Lamar who got hurt, Baker got hurt, he had Mike Evans and DJ Moore. DJ Moore did nothing, and Mike Evans got hurt. So basically, Jonathan Taylor was the only useful thing working on his team. So actually, when you're in that position, you even want to offload that player because the points he scores, they might prevent you from getting the first pick. Because Jonathan Taylor has like 2 massive games, he might win 2 games by accident, and then you don't get the first pick you want. So actually, it's like mutual benefit. For me, I was trying to win, so Hampton wasn't scoring me any points, sitting on my injured reserve spot. So I thought it was a no-brainer, but that guy was being the hard-head he is, saying, if you want to win, I need to offer to show me that you want to win. So
he had to work for it.
It's been I wasn't sure if I was being in a bar or talking about fantasy football, but
right, it's very akin to life.
He did made me work for it.
Good, dude. Negotiation's an important part of this. But cool. So let's talk about me being a beginner, right? Potentially, say I wanted to get involved in a fantasy league, and maybe we even get to do a mock draft in a second, just to see your thought process on some of this. What would you recommend to somebody who knows football, has the ball knowledge, but potentially hasn't played a lot of fantasy in their past? What's the first things you look at? What's the first things you do?
First, actually, you've just said it, do a mock draft, because if you haven't done it before, you cannot imagine the potential stress that can go into a draft. Do a little bit of homework, because funny story myself, first year playing fantasy, I didn't do any homework. So in the first round of my draft, I just thought Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. I have to pick Patrick. I have to pick Patrick Mahomes, the most classic of all rookie mistakes. Which in that league, To explain it a little bit, usually you play fantasy only with one quarterback, but you have 2 to 3 running backs, 2 to 3 wide receivers, a tight end that you can play. So the importance of the quarterback position is not very important. You play with 12 players and you have 32 quarterbacks. So it is very easy to find a decent quarterback even later. So quarterbacks only go in like round 3 or 4, even the best ones, because it's just not that important of a position. And but I didn't know because I did not do my homework. So I just thought, okay, Barry Mahomes in real life, he's going to be my first round pick. The entire league was laughing about me, like, what are you doing? I was like, what are you talking about? It's Patrick Mahomes. So just like, it really helps to have a bit of a plan. My mate from Great Britain last year, who started playing first time last year, he came to me after the draft and he was like, fuck. Before the draft, he was like, I'll just free ball it, whatever. Okay, how hard can it be? And then I pushed him so hard to do like a mock draft before. And then after he literally came to me, was like, mate, thank God you made me do it. I had no fucking idea how stressful this can be. Because if you do it, like, you have a little bit of a plan who you want to draft, and then you look at the board, at the players. I want to get Derrick Henry. I want to get Jonathan Taylor, and you have no idea how it can be when the person right in front of you snipes you, picks up Derrick Henry, and then you're just sitting there. What do I do now? Because you're only in a draft, you only have 2 minutes to pick. So there's not. If somebody ruins your strategy, you better have a backup plan, because otherwise you have 2 minutes and you just tend to. Most people who have never done it before, they just do a panic pick, and then the team starts to look a little bit broken.
Cooked.
And that's a really good point, that the players that are good in real life doesn't mean necessarily that they are the best fantasy players, right? It's almost a game within the game, and that's where it also is really cool that then it's so big in the US that even in the stadium, they give you live updates of the fantasy points of the players and all this kind of stuff, right? It's a really huge thing. But would you say then for a beginner, it's the best to just follow the standard default draft order that the experts tell you to do, or is there
in
a
way? I would say in a way that would be playing it safe, especially if you didn't do much homework. That would be playing it safe, like. I have seen people. I have seen memes about this actually. That you have people who do like 60 mock drafts, go hard-headed, prepare for weeks, and then somebody who auto drafted wins their league. So it's possible. It's not very common. It's not very common, but it's definitely possible, because the great thing about the fantasy football also is the whole randomness of it.
Mm-hmm.
When every Sunday when you watch Red Zone, and ideally you have like 6-7 different players, and you just go through all kinds of emotions when one player scores a touchdown, and then then the next 2 plays, the guy you're playing against, 2 of his players score a touchdown. So and you're always going like this back and forth. Am I winning? Am I losing? So the stress doesn't only extend to the draft; it goes the entire season. So if you're a nutter, you love it.
Okay. Maybe we can take a quick look at the draft, Dave. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we got some time. And Lorenz, you are a star for asking our questions to start with. We just wanted to get the people to know you a little bit, that's all. So when we bring you in the future, we can get straight to the fun bit, which is you talking about the numbers and all things fantasy. But we appreciate you. So yeah, why not? Let's take a quick look at a quick mock. Let's see how the mind works on this front.
Cool. I'm going to share my screen.
To give people a bit of context on this one, this is actually a super flex league, which basically just means you play 2 quarterbacks. So there, in this format, of course, the quarterback, just like in real life, is the most important position, which is actually one of the things that has always bothered me a bit about fantasy, and the difference between real life football and the fantasy scoring. So I tried to change the format in a way that the way we score matches real life football. The best players in real life should also be the best players in fantasy, because it's just more fun that way and more authentic. So in this draft, you will actually see quarterbacks going in the first round, and it is not by mistake. It is correct.
Okay. So what we see here is we have the draft board. There's only Lorenz on position 5 and me on position 12. And we're probably only going to do like maybe the first 2 or first 3 rounds, just to show the the mechanism. And then down here, for the audience out there, what you can see is the suggested draft order by some statistics that I also don't understand yet, but I'm sure Lorenz does. And when he does his pick, he can explain us why. So I start the draft now. Okay, Lorenz, now it's your pick on pick 5. You can see that the computer already picked the first 4 players. Maybe you can explain a bit what we're looking at and what you would pick and why.
First, touching on the list you spoke about, the list that you see on the bottom left of the screen is actually the average draft position, ADP. So it is literally where in all the drafts in the Sleeper app these players usually go. So those are basically the community values. And since we're playing Superflex, I'm gonna start with Drake May as my pick, who usually goes at number 3. He fell to me here at number 5, so decent value. And now we have you.
So one thing that's already interesting is how many running backs are going that early, right?
Running backs, yeah, they score them together with quarterbacks in this format. They do score the most points.
Yeah. So does that mean you would recommend me here now with this pick to go either for like a super high wide receiver or running back pick, like Justin Jefferson or James Cook, for example?
With your pick here, actually, I would follow the order. I would get Joe Burrow. As you can see, he's listed as player number 10. You're picking number 12, so he fell to you. I don't think he will be there in the real draft, but if he does, you have to take him, because in this format we also get 6 points for every passing touchdown, just like for rushing touchdowns. Yeah, a quarterback like Joe Burrow who probably going to end up with 40 passing touchdowns. He's going to score you loads of points. He might end up being the number 1 player.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm always a bit afraid of injury-prone players, but I mean,
he still gets the numbers. He still pulls the numbers out. I saw a lot of fantasy drafts, and they kept picking Bijan Robinson was the first pick for most of the mock drafts that I watched. Mainly based, but I don't think they had the flex quarterback situation. So maybe in those scenarios, without the 2 quarterbacks, you go running back or receiver first, maybe.
Yeah, Robinson already went on 2, so I go Joe Burrow then.
Bijan and Gibbs are just that good.
Yeah.
They even in the 2 quarterback drafts they go first.
Yeah.
It's just they score you 20-25 points every week. It's unbelievable.
And then maybe my first starting receiver, or James Cook.
I would honestly, running backs get scars fast. Usually,
yeah, right?
So James Cook is a good pick here, but Caleb Williams and CeeDee Lamb would be as well. You're in the nice position that you can't go wrong.
It's crazy to me that Kenneth Walker, is so far down, because in our league, high impact plays get rewarded, right? Like big plays, big chunk plays, and he's kind of an expert for big chunk plays, if I remember right.
They do, but he's not really a receiving back, and we also get a point for every reception.
Ah, okay.
Makes sense.
Right.
And also, he's also very injury prone, so you don't want to go Burrow and Kenneth Walker. Imagine both your first players get hurt.
Fair. Okay, so I went James Cook then.
Now in the second round, strategy goes a bit into it, because I already have a quarterback, so I don't necessarily need a second one. I can get one later. They're enough in the league, so probably I'll start with... Honestly, I really believe in Omarion Hampton. Mike McDaniel offense with the Chargers, the O-line is healthy again. I think this Omarion Hampton is going to have a huge season.
No,
and
I've heard this.
Where was he in the ranking? Like, did you pick him much higher than he was in the ranking?
He was ranked 27th, and I picked him at pick 20. So yeah, it was a little bit of a reach here because I believe in him. That's the first example of me calling my shot. So if I'm right, I can tell all you guys I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then same thing here, Saquon. I think he have a bounce back. So now my running backs are sorted.
Nice.
Let's see where you go.
Okay, so you do a lot of things not only on the draft order, but you also do it based on feeling and based on what your research shows, basically. So because you're really nerdy and into it, right?
Exactly. So when you're like me, watching a lot of videos, being in Facebook groups, having discussions, you do have your list, and you do have a bit of your plan. But the great things about drafts is you can plan for them all day, and then somebody picks a play right in front of you, and all of a sudden you need to adjust, and you just sit there and like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, Understood. I mean, now I'm again in this position of picking twice, and I can see that Chase Brown, the running back, is still available on is kind of the highest in the draft order now. But I see both George Pickens and Chris Olave after him, and I really want to have both of them on my wide receiver room. Is that a stupid decision or?
Pickens, no.
It is not a stupid decision at all. Actually, that is one thing I like to do in the real draft, because you can scroll down the list and kind of see who is in the range of your next pick. So you can like plan a little bit ahead. Like what I would do right now is I would scroll down and see like are any running backs in the range when I pick next. And then I'm like, okay, I can just pick a running back up in the next with my next pick. Or if they aren't, that might force your hand a little bit.
So I can filter here by running back, and how can I see where my next pick falls? Or do I have to calculate that myself? Do I have to go plus 12 now?
If you go to all, you have to go, you have to see the entire list, and then if you scroll down, you have to scroll quite far down, because you have, there you see it. There you see it. Oh. There's where your next pick is slated to be. So you can see at your next pick, Travion Henderson might still be available. He's a very volatile pick. He's very polarizing. Yeah. Because there's still Ramondre Stevenson there.
Yeah.
So the smart move would be to get my running back sorted here now. But since this is only a mock draft and I want Chris Olave, I'm going for Chris Olave.
Shout out Tyler Shock. By the way, the Yahoo Sports has George Pickens as the 22nd best pick overall for their 2026 Fantasy Top 150 overall rankings. Nice. So they think that Dak Prescott and Pickens is going to have a big season, because obviously he needs to work hard to get that bag because he's on the franchise tag. So I think Pickens might be a good sleeper pick.
That always helps.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, now to finish things off, you see I have a quarterback and two running backs, so basically I have to go for a wide receiver. Yes. And T. Higgins is there, but he's only the number 2 after Jamar Chase. I would like to have as my number one receiver player is also the number 1 receiver on his team, so you know he's going to get the targets. Also, Higgins is a bit injury prone, so I'm going to go for Ted McMillan here and just pray that Bryce Young can figure it out somehow.
Can do it again, yeah.
This is very, very fun. I could do this all day, honestly. We could do like just full episodes only doing mock drafts, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what the summer's for. I mean, sure.
Yeah, true.
There are people that do that, honestly. When you're going to go on my YouTube, you have like 3-hour streams of people just streaming the drafts all the time, and it's always great.
Professional mock drafters. But that was our first dive into fantasy. So I think we haven't talked a lot of fantasy, right, Shads, in previously. It's something that we know of, but we're not quote-unquote experts, and as you can tell by Lorenz talking today, that is his area of expertise. So we will definitely be leaning on you throughout the rest of the summer, going into the regular season, and definitely throughout the season, so you can keep the people's picks accurate and up to date. I also know people will put a lot of money on some of these leagues, so we make sure that you can give some information that can make some people some money, and if you lose their money, then that's your fault as well. But either way, we definitely appreciate you having you on today, and the first of many as well. Shads, I absolutely appreciate you also, as always. But is there anything you disagree with or want us to add when it comes to fantasy? Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk about this more in the future. But other than that, gents, if there's nothing else to say, we will leave it there, and I will catch you, Shadi, next week.
Ciao. Thanks, Lorenz.
Appreciate the time, guys.